Hi everybody, Jo here again. So if you want to go and put your kettle on, grab yourself a brew and let's have a little bit of a catch up. Exciting news today. So on Friday, so that's the 23rd of April, Lavinia Stamps are going to be releasing 2 new stamps. And I've got to be honest, right up my street. And I think as soon as I show you them, you'll know why. So we're going to create a little design today, just a nice simple little design using a few techniques we've used before, nothing special, nothing new, but it's the stamps I want to focus on. And often when I get new stamps, I like to go with just a nice easy design that I've done before, but just to show the beauty of the stamps. Now, as you can see, if I bring this closer, the first one is this gorgeous Fairy Toadstool. Just checking I've got the name right, Fairy Toadstool. Look at that. And the detail is just amazing. And the second one is called the Orchard Grass. And you'll think it looks a little bit familiar because it's very much like the one we had already called the Field Grass. But it's a little bit smaller, and I'm just grabbing them now so I can show you the actual stamps. Maybe put them on a piece of card. So this one is the field grass that we had already, and this one's the orchard grass, which is sort of almost like a mirror image but smaller. And I just think they're going to work so well together. And as you know, I'm a big fan of the field grass. I keep using that. It pops up again and again. But you know what? I think if you do have favourite stamps, use them again and again. We've paid for them. Let's use them. What I think's sad is when we do buy stamps and we forget about them. So quite often I will actually just go and look for stamps I haven't used for a while and make myself get them out and actually use them. So they're the main images that we're going to use today, and we're just going to build up this lovely design around it. So if you want to pause me and get some things together and join in. Now obviously you won't have the new stamps, but you could use some stamps you've already got, because we've got the most gorgeous mushroom stamp already, haven't we? And obviously Pipin's popped in. He's got to pop in. Old favourite, introduce him to the new. It's a bit like us all getting together, isn't it? So we've got new friends here. We've got our trusted, best, loyal friends here, and we're all going to have a brew together. Maybe that cheeky biscuit. I think we've earned it, don't you? So I'm going to start off. Now I tend to like 6x6 cards. I just think they're a great size to send and to make. One thing I do find is that quite often crafters, especially if you're new, it can be quite intimidating having a large piece of card. So a piece this size to work on I find is just brilliant. And this is a piece that's 14 centimetres square. Now again, I'm trying to be good, bear with me. For our American friends, so it's 5.5 inches. So as I say, it's a 6-inch card blank and a 5.5 inches piece of card. And I just find this is just such a lovely size to create with. Now on this one, I've actually matted and layered with a piece of black card, but if you wanted, you could just put your black Sharpie line round. So today I'm going to use the black VersaFine Clair ink pad, but also I thought I'd introduce a couple of Elements ink pads, and I'm going to use the Sahara and the Paprika. Sorry, excuse me, I'll just grab a drink of water. My pesky throat. Do you know, one day I'll come on here and go, yes, I can speak. So if you haven't got these, don't worry. The colour tones, again, the Sahara is just for the background to give that lovely glow. So maybe you've got mustard seed or fossilised amber would be good in the oxides. And the Paprika, I just like it because it's almost that browny reddy colour. Now, crackling campfire, aka burning bonfire, that will be perfect for that. So again, or maybe you could do that with blue tones. I just choose colours that I think I'm in a bit of an orange, I like orange, orange and reds. I just think that warm feeling, maybe it's just the way I'm feeling at the minute. let's put those to one side, and I'm going to start off by making my frame. And again, I'm using a Sticks to low tack tape. Sweet Poppy Stencils do a low tack tape that's very good as well. But if you find a low tack tape that you love, I must admit I always write on the inside, because in the past I have bought ones that aren't as good and I never want to get mixed up with those. So for me, I always write on. And we're just going to make ourselves a frame. You could use post-it notes for this. And I just find the easiest way is to literally go along the edge. And then for me, I just turn my card and work all the way around. Like I say, if you want to use post-it notes, or if you've got an aperture stencil and you want to use that, it's all about using what you've got and creating. As I say, the main thing today is just to show you these beautiful new stamps. And to come and have a catch-up, obviously. We like our catch-ups, don't we? Right, pop that to one side. And what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to stamp the images. Now, you could make your background first, but you know me, for me, I just want to stamp the images first. I like to get the designer in my head and onto the paper. So the first one I'm going to do is this Fairy Toadstool. And I love the detail in this, and I love these bits here. So, well, trying to get used to not inking up on my card, because I used to be in the habit of putting my block. But if you've got ink on the back of your block, how many times do we get smudges? I know at workshops so many times I've had ladies or gentlemen saying, can you suggest anything to go over this black smudge? So I'm just going to put plenty of ink on, and I'm just going to grab a bit of cloth here, because I've just over inked this, as I tend to. It's something I do, and again, I don't fight it now. I know it's going to happen, so just get used to wiping it off. Now, you know me, although this is the centrepiece, I don't want it too much in the centre. I think it would look too obvious. I like it just slightly offset, so I'm just going to pop it there. Now again, with this being a brand new stamp, I always like to ink it up first and stamp it on copy paper first, because for me, I just find the stamps, although they're perfect, brilliant stamps, and I do it with all stamp makes, I just think they're better with a bit of ink on, stamping on copy paper first. It almost seasons them. I just think it gets them used to being used. And I do find, you know, when I do workshops, I always recommend to ladies, if we're using brand new stamps, to just get a bit of ink and just stamp them a couple of times before putting them on the main piece of work. So there's a lot of detail in this look, so we want this to stamp. And again, I've gone onto the low tack tape here, so I really want to be mindful that I just catch that edge there. Now again, I'm using my All and Crate blocks, so they are flexible, so we can really press. Look at that. The detail in this stamp, all those little white spaces there, absolutely beautiful. I mean, this would look lovely in itself, just in black and white in a monotone card. So let's put our Pipin in next. I have to remember I'm doing the design. I've already said, you know me, I tend to wander off and just create something totally different. Now, these should be available on the Lavinia stamp website, as I say, Friday the 23rd. So if there's anything you need, it's certainly worth popping in your basket. Right, and again, just me being me, overstamp Pipin a little, over ink him up. But you're used to me by now, aren't you? Now I'm going to put him just looking up here. So I just want to put him, I want him just slightly above. Now, one thing to be mindful of, when you stamp on low tack tape, the ink doesn't dry very quickly. Obviously, your VersaFine Clair is a slower drying ink pad. and you know we get used to blotting our work, just be mindful with your tape, needs extra blotting. So here where I've stamped on it, if I was to catch it with my hand, I'd get ink on my hand and I could transfer that. And again, we'd do that scenario of needing an extra butterfly. So it's just something to point out. So there's our Pipin. So what I will do is just blot that, really to just catch that low tack tape. What I'm going to do now is stamp a couple of little mushrooms. Where's my other block? See, I could just leave it with that one, but I fancy a couple of these little diddy ones as well. Don't want too many, so let's just put first generation there and second generation there, and then first generation there. But again, I'm just gonna, I need to be mindful. I'll dry that in a minute because I'm going to add some foliage in the corner. And I'm using this, it's called the Mini Maple. Again, you know, Lavinia do the most fantastic pound stamps, as you know, because I do keep banging on about them. And if ever you're putting an order in, for me, I built my collection up by every time I was ordering, I just ordered a couple of extra pound stamps. And it is amazing what you can do. I mean, when I'd got this design in mind, I actually looked in my box for some foliage. And I thought, you know what, I don't need to find any foliage because I've got this little pound stamp which I can actually make it look like it is foliage, you know, a bigger. I turn it round so it doesn't look, you don't want it to look identical, so let's just keep turning it round. And if I pop this down here and then maybe just want a tiny bit of that just catching there, and then I need something there just so it looks like it's totally off. Now again, I must blot this, so it's sort of me note to myself. Because as I say, we all know how this black ink can just get everywhere. And a little tip I was given recently, which I've started doing for all my workshops and my YouTubes, is I have the lid of a plastic container next to me, and all my stamps that I'm using, I have in that. And I put them in there when I've used them. And so hopefully, because a lot of us have said how we can lose our stamps, can't we? Sorry, excuse me. So I just grab a drink of water. Right. Hopefully we'll be better now. So I found it useful to actually put them in the lid of my A4 storage box, and at the end they're all there for me to tidy away, rather than, you know, we just tend to put things on our desk. So that's a little tip. If you find it helpful, use it. If not, just ignore what I've said or tried to say. So what I'm going to do now is bring in my lovely orchard grass. And I'm going to use black again. I could use, you know, one of the lovely green, maybe the Shady Lady. But I'm thinking, let's just keep this bit monotone. And so we're going to have, let's go, looks nice at an angle, as though it's just growing from our toadstool. And if I'm lucky, I can just pop one in there, but it won't overstamp with Pipin. And then we'll just have that there. And I think we can just catch one coming in this side. Oh, that fits nicely, see where his ears are. I like that. But we need one here, don't we? I'm thinking, shall I go first or second generation? What do we think? I think it's so fine. I think I could actually go first, and I don't think it'll take it away from the toadstools. No, I think I can get away with that because we can still see. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Right, give the stamp a wipe. and put that in my container over there. And then let's give it all a good blot. So, how are you doing? What such a week are you having? I hope you're having a decent week. I hope things are going okay. I hope things are starting to settle down a bit and that you're getting to see some friends and family. That's important. We all need psychologically to feel better. But do you know what? Sometimes we're not able to do that. And I do feel if we're not careful at the minute, so much is made about people seeing each other and catching up. And I do think it's sad if you're at home and you're not in a position to get out, or you're not in a position to have friends and family round. So, you know, I do feel for you. And that's where I come in. Just pop me on. Just pretend I've come and we're having a coffee and we're having our little catch up. Now, so we've got to this stage and I'm slightly worried about my ink, so I'm just going to put my heat tool over it. And I'll tell you for why, because if it's not dry, and I'm not worried at all about my tape coming off. Remember I gave you that little tip that if your tape's a bit stubborn, put your heat tool on it and it'll help. Now you could, if you wanted, take this tape off and put clean tape on, but I think we're okay. So I'm going to bring the Sahara in. Let's get rid of this now. Like I said, I could have done the background first, but it's just not the way I work. And I think you just have to go with the flow. And if you want to have a go at doing this and putting your background on first, that's fine. Now I'm going to come in with the Sahara and I'm just using a stencil brush and I just want to add a little bit of colour in the background. I don't want to go too mad. And because I've already stamped, I find I can actually go round the stamp. Now my point is I want to keep this area clear, so I would have had to almost mask that off. So that's why I find it easier to just use my stencil brush and just come around. And I'm holding the bristles quite the way down because I find that gives me good control. And this is just the basic background. I'm going to add more on top of this. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just to give me that almost that yellow, that lovely background colour. This is my base colour. And that's all I'm going to do with that. Now, if you did notice, I did dab my brush on my mat first, just because obviously these are such rich, such juicy colours. And now I'm going to bring in, if you look here, we've got some stenciling just in the background, just at the top here. And I almost wanted to make it look as though it was almost magical wisps, you know, coming away from this lovely magical fairy toadstool. And for that, I'm using the feather leaf stencil. As you know, I use this a lot and it's just so good because you can just pick out these, almost it could be the wind blowing. It's just that lovely shape. And we're going to use paprika. And I'm going to use my other stencil brush. Now this is my Lavinia stencil brush, which I find useful for dabbing. With it having a flat end, the difference is this is great for dabbing colour through. So I want one of these so it almost looks, and I'm not going to mask any areas off, but again I'm going to dab in the ink and put some on my mat because I almost don't want it too strong. And so let's just start gently, almost brushing in the direction of that shape and lift up. Yeah, that's perfect. And we've got that shape. Now I want one coming out the other side, don't I? So let's come in this way. And again, just dab on and lift up. Yeah, I'm happy with that. A little bit deeper than my original, but I like that. I'm still happy with that. And let's see if we can get this one here. I think it'd look good just coming out of that corner. Just move my ink pad out of the way. And again, just move your stencil around till you're happy with the bit you've got. And just, I'm not inking up, I've got plenty of ink on here. I like that, but I want to balance. I just want one coming in this way. So if I turn my work round, there's one there, look. And I'm just being a bit lighter on my stenciling in this corner. Don't want it quite as deep in here. Yeah. So obviously, can you see how it's obviously lighter there? I've not re-inked, so I've got less ink on, and I like that. But what I will do is I just want to bring a bit of colour around the edges. So I'll pop my stencil to one side, and I'm just going to pick up the ink off here and just go, and this is where it's important that that ink is dry on your tape. And I stress that because honestly, if it's not and you get black smudges, you'll say to me, yeah, you were right, we've got them black smudges. And this will just edge it nicely. Again, I don't want to come too far in. And I'm just picking up off my mat. And if you're not sure how it's going to look, maybe just gently peel a piece. Yeah, I like that. Maybe I could just add a little bit more in that corner. The beauty of these is you never get two the same. And I actually think that is just so good, because in a way, I don't really ever want to produce two identical. Now let's just ground our Pipin here. So what I'm going to do is, with my, let's check this one works, yeah. With my fine liner, I'm just going to add a little bit to go with the grass on our mane, just mushroom, just to make them sort of tone in. And let's give Pipin a couple here. There we go. That looks better, doesn't it? It really. And let's just get some torn piece of paper, and let's just add some deeper colour at the bottom here. Now, will that, oh look, I can actually get those and Pipin. Again, take the most off on the mat. And this, I can afford for this to be quite deep. Again, perspective, it's in the foreground, so it will be deeper colour. And again, before I take it away, just peel it back. Oh, that's lovely. I must admit, I'm preferring this one. It's a little bit deeper than my original. And we'll just put one little bit of a hill in the background. Again, I'm not going to ink up because perspective, we want it lighter because it's in the background. So I'm just going to flick a little. Yep, that's enough. Yeah, I like the way that's looking. I'm going to put the lid on my ink pad. And let's just clean that up. Now again, I could spritz that and smoosh it on my card, but I think for doing this, let's just concentrate on what we're doing. Now I'm going to add some colour to my toadstool here, and that's an ideal time for me to talk to you about pencils. Now, one lady, again, I'm sorry, I meant to make a note of your name. You commented on a couple of YouTubes ago and asked me the difference between the pencils I was using. So I thought this is an ideal time to explain the difference. So first of all, I'm going to use, I'll move this out of the way. First of all, I'm going to use these, which are the Derwent Ink Tense pencils, and these are water reactive. And then I'm also going to add some colour. Recently, I've been using these a lot, and these are from Stabilo, and these are chalk pastel pencils. And these are a bit like chalk in a pencil. So that's your difference. We've got a water reactive and then almost a smudgeable. And these are the ones that quite often, well, I know a couple of you've noticed I use them varying degrees, they are sort of my staple. As well as using the inks and water, this is what I tend to use, and I'll show you why. So I'm coming in, so these two are the Inktense, and I've gone for sort of a red and a browny red. And I'm just going to add, we've actually got a centre and an outer edge on this. And I'm just going to add, I'm just adding a deeper red around the edge. They will blend, but I just think it adds to the overall effect. It's one of those little things that almost it makes it look better, but you don't necessarily notice you've done it. It's those little finishing tricks that just give that end result. And then I'm just going to come in with the lighter colour and add a little bit more in the middle. Now, when I was getting my pencils out, I completely forgot that I had to colour the underneath. So I shall just get the other colours out that I need. So I'm going to go for a yellow and an orange. And all I'm going to do is add the yellow on the top here. I just think it adds nice brightness sort of on there. And then, and I'm sorry if my head comes in the way, and this you can either do brown or orange. I just wanted to use orange to keep it with those sorts of tones. And then these little dots here, I'm going to go yellow. And what I'm going to do to try and add depth, I'm adding yellow on this side, look where I've got all the little dots. And then I'm going to come in with the orange on this side. Just gives a little bit of contrast and makes it look like the light's more on this side. I mean, again, it's probably me overthinking it, but just I like something a little bit different. And we'll add a little bit to those. Now, because these are water reactive, I've got a paintbrush. I'm just going to grab myself a piece of kitchen roll. And I use a paintbrush and a water pot. Again, you can use the water brushes if you want. It's whatever you get used to using. I'm just a fan of this. And I always have a piece of kitchen roll to just dab off the water. And all I'm going to do is just react that pencil and look at the difference. I'll sort of do halfway, and again, the beauty of this is, you know, it is no skill required. I'm just literally, and if I lift that up for you, can you see what a difference it makes? That red really pops now. I'll just dip my paintbrush in again, just take the worst off on my copy paper, just because I don't want any big blops of water. As I say, if you're a fan of your water brush, you use your water brush. I always think it's a little bit like cooking, isn't it? Some people like gas, some like electric, some like Argers. My sister's got an Arger. What a total different way of cooking that is. It blows my mind. Really messes with my head. But again, like I say, it's, you know, just what we all get used to. And I think as long as you're happy with something, I always say this, if you find a way to do something that's good for you, you carry on doing that. Right, so I'm just going to clean my brush. I'm just going to come in and do this side first with the yellow. Because if you've got two colours, it's always better to do the light one first. And then let's go in with the darker, oh, got a drop of water there, with the orange, and then just blend it into the yellow. Just find it easier blending the darker colour into the lighter one. And obviously remember your inks we've used, the Elements ink pads are water reactive as well. So really I don't want to get any water on here. Just blend that across so we haven't got a definite line. And we added a bit there, didn't we? So that's our Inktense pencils, are water reactive, and that's how we've added the colour there. Now, the difference with the chalk pencils, I'm just going to, want to dry that a little, obviously because I've added the water. And again, what's lovely about this is there are so many different products I can use to show you, but they're all products that we use time and time again. So with my chalk pencils, so these are my chalk pastel pencils. So it's just a different effect. And what I'm going to do is, I want to add some highlight to Pipin. Now, you could use your white Posca pen, but I know some ladies get a bit nervous about doing this, and it can be quite harsh. So what you find is if you use your white chalk pastel, and you can just gently add a little bit of highlight, and you can either use a cotton bud to just smudge it, or I tend to be in the habit of using my finger. And for me, I just find it's a little bit more of a forgiving highlight. But again, it's totally up to you, and I'm just showing you something different. If you're happy with your Posca, you carry on using your Posca. And what's nice about this is I can add, on my finished one, we've got a glow here, almost around the toadstool. And I've created that with, and this is where, although this looks a bright yellow, and then I'm just going to put some white behind it. You won't necessarily see the white, but it will just help the yellow blend out. And then I'm just going to blend that, and this time I will use my cotton bud, and these are biodegradable cotton buds, by the way. So I just want to add that glow, and the chalk pastel pencils is just perfect for that. And I'm actually going to come in with my grey now, and I want a little bit of shade there, but then I still want this glow. So I wanted to add my shade first, and I'm going to come down this side and add my glow, but this side I'm going to add my shade, and then just come in and just smudge this out a little bit. They're just so fun to use, these. As I say, they work great over inks. I find I've used them so much, and I just find for me it adds something a little bit different to my design. It gives it a different look, and I find I almost play a little bit more. So that's what they're for. Put them to one side, and then something else we're going to bring in is our Posca pens. So the little white highlights on here, that's my Posca pen. Now, as you know, my white Posca pen has almost given up the ghost, but I've got one with a fine nib, and that's the one that's given up the ghost. So I'm going to take some ink from my thicker nibbed one, but then pick it up with my fine nib. And I just want to add a little bit of a highlight on there. And that's all I'm going to add with my white Posca. I'll wipe that up. And for those of you who are enjoying the Posca pens, I've got hold of some lovely glitter Posca pens. So keep your eyes open for these because they are lovely. And on the finished card, the yellow I've actually done in the glitter. And maybe can you see? Don't know if it shows up there, but it really does have a bit of a shimmer. And it's almost, if you want glitter, but you don't want to add glitter. I mean, some people don't like the way glitter sheds. But these glittery Posca pens are just lovely. So I'm going to add some there, and on these, almost a bit sort of like adult glitter. You know, it's not in your face glitter, but it adds a nice sparkle. One of those things I treated myself to, and I thought, oh yes, I like those. Now, because we've got some little dots here, that just gives me a chance to add some more with my yellow. And that brings that in, so I like that. And then the red, I've got a fine Posca pen here. And I'm just going to add some little red dots to my grasses and just to the base of my toadstools here, look. So these can be my little, almost like miniature poppies or a lot of ladybirds. Mind you do get that sometimes, don't you? I noticed I've got a couple of ladybirds in my garden. I noticed a black one the other day. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe I need to look that up. And there we go. That's just added such nice colour, hasn't it? So what I'm going to do is my little tip. I'm just going to use my heat tool. And again, this will just help dry everything. But if your tape is a little bit more tack than you wanted, this will help mean that it will just peel off really easy. Now, like I say, if you have labels on anything you need to peel off, just pop your heat tool on it and the labels peel off beautifully. You know, if you're the sort of person that reuses envelopes like I do, your heat tool's perfect for getting those labels off. So there we go. That's my finished design. Last little thing is, so if you look at this one, I've added glossy accents. Now you could leave it flat like this if you wanted, but I think the glossy accents really finishes it off. So, got my glossy accents, again from Ranger, but I have to say mine always, without doubt, bungs up. So I've got myself a nice hat pin here. So let's hope my umbunger, there we go. So I found the best way to do this is to just go around the edge first and then fill in. Now this will take a good few hours to dry, so obviously if you need a card to get in the post, maybe don't add the glossy accents. And a little tip, you know, glossy accents, you can add glitter to it at this point. I'm not, because I want the detail to show through in this case, but just a little tip if ever you want to. Looks gorgeous with glitter added. I need to wipe that up, and I just need to wipe my little umbunger and put that back. I've got it in a little makeup sponge, look. But you need to keep it, because again, it's one of those things you need to know where it is. I have found since I've got places for things in my craft room, it's definitely easier getting things if they've all got their place. Right, so that's the one we've done today. That's our finished one. So I'm hoping you like those. As I say, this one's a little bit deeper in colour, but I'm happy with that. I quite like that. So I hope that you like the new stamps. And I hope we've had a nice little catch up together. And it is lovely to hear from you. So thank you again, as always, for your messages. And I'm going to go now. I might do a little bit of gardening. It's just that sort of weather here. The garden, everything's just starting to wake up. And I've got some gorgeous dogtooth violets that have come up. My mum gave me some a couple of years ago when we moved in, and last year they did nothing. But this year, they're beautiful, so delicate, gorgeous little yellow heads. So I might just go and have a little chat with those and tend them a little and let them know that I love them, like I do. Please tell me, does anybody else talk to the plants in the garden, or is it just me? Am I that mad woman that lives next door? Or in fact, don't answer that, because I probably am just that mad woman that lives next door. Anyway, you take care, everybody. As always, it's lovely to spend time with you. Much love and hugs. Bye for now.